No.
Mr. Raji.
Yes, I've unmuted now. Good morning, everyone. Lovely to see so many of you on this wonderful occasion, our 250th FOSWL program. It is just incredible how we are all here to celebrate this great day. So at ICC, we've basically made best efforts during these very challenging times to basically provide a platform through this Zoom video to engage everybody, our seniors, our adults, our kids, and it is so gratifying to see that everyone has remained safe. Everyone is, engaged, feeling quite entertained, and despite not being able to see each other in person, that you're happy and participating. You're getting used to this technology, which we've not been accustomed to in the past, as all our events were on site. Everything at ICC that we've been doing in the past has been kind of large public gatherings. And this COVID virus situation is so bad that large public gatherings is the most dangerous situation to have. And therefore, from mid-March, we basically closed all our activities and all of our facilities and ensured that our staff and all our members are safe and going to basically follow the guidelines that the CDC issues, which is to remain isolated, only go out if it's an emergency, wear a mask, keep your social distance, wash your hands. And I think it is really, really very pleasing for me, certainly, to see that all of you and all of the thousands of members that we support have remained safe, and we've not heard of any situation where one of our members has had the unfortunate incident of being infected or being hospitalized. So, you know, with that, at ICC, it has been the worst year for us in our history, where we're not able to host these events and programs. All of our potential revenue that we used to generate is gone down to zero. Most of our staff, all of us had to be furloughed, meaning not on payroll. And then, of course, we basically got some government funding that allowed us to bring some members of our team back on payroll based on activities. But today, we still have almost 50% of our staff not being brought back on payroll. Our teachers, our reception staff, our facility staff, Nilkanji, Nishaji, all of these folks remain, off payroll and on furlough because, one, we don't have the financial resources to support those kind of costs, and two, we just don't have the work. Right now, a lot of what we do virtually is volunteer driven. And so that's the other really very gratifying for me as the CEO of ICC, to see that all our seniors are so engaged, running programs with very little involvement from my team and for me personally, that the volunteer group has held these programs like FOSWL on a continual basis without interruption. And so many of you are joining and enjoying these programs. As we kind of look ahead, clearly this virus has not gone away, despite what some folks may be saying. It is still with us, and until there is a safe, remedy, vaccine or whatever that's available that can keep us safe, we will basically keep our facilities closed for all our senior programs, and in fact, all our kids and other programs too, including our banquet facilities. Some element of table tennis is being conducted because these are socially distanced. They are basically one-on-one, and there are no group gatherings. So that activity, the table tennis center is open and remains open after about 3 months of closure. So I think looking ahead, the rest of this year remains closed for ICC, for our senior programs. on-site senior programs. We will continue with the virtual programs, and we will monitor the situation. If and when we feel it is safe to reopen, we will basically make every effort to bring all of us back, because I know seeing each other personally in one place, enjoying the programs on site, having the lunch, is all very important part that we've all gotten accustomed to over many years. 2021 will remain challenging. We are currently going through a budgeting process, but I think with the support of our board, the support of our well-wishers like BV and their family, and all of our board members and many others that have supported us in the past, they've come forward and given us significant donations. We're very, very pleased also with the San Jose Chinmaya Mission that came forward with their board and gave us a very significant donation. So all in all, we have managed to clear this year without going into additional debt or mortgage, which is always available as we own the building in Milpitas. But we're trying to avoid that, because anytime you take any debts, it has to be paid off in the future. So we don't want to mortgage the future. So with that, I think this is the day we are celebrating the 250th FOSWL session. You know, for me, although I've kind of joined in the last 4 or 5 years, my interactions with the founder, late M.L. Swami, was always very pleasant. What a wonderful person we had. What a great opportunity and a privilege I had to get to know him. Always calm, always kind and well-mannered, always, you know, no issue frustrated him. Anytime we were wanting to host an event, we may have at some cost, he would basically say, don't worry about it. The 200th FOSWL session we celebrated at ICC, he was very instrumental in saying, we'll do it in a grand style, we'll publish a book, we'll write all the history about FOSWL and all the speakers we have graced at this, at these events in the past. And, you know, I just, you know, miss him, but we are continuing this tradition with all the help from Dinesh and Umaji and others. And, you know, now, of course, with chapters around globally, this whole program is being adopted and well received by everyone. So, you know, God bless him, may his soul rest in peace. But, you know, M.L. Swami was just such a wonderful human being, where he just wanted to engage all our seniors in a very meaningful, constructive, intellectual kind of way through this session called FOSWL. So 250th session, here we are, you know, a session being held every month without fail. We've found variety of speakers who have really come forward, donated their time, their knowledge, their experience to share with us. And we will continue that. Dinesh, myself, Umaji, and others are all helping to make sure that this tradition will continue. And of course, it's also being introduced and being continued globally. So with that, I welcome you all to this 250th session. We have a great program that has been put together by Umaji and Dineshji, and we will basically sit back and enjoy and remember our great founder who brought this program to ICC, late M.L. Swami. And we really thank his family for giving us so much pleasure and privilege to have gotten to know him as a member of ICC. With that, I hand over to...
Yeah.
I'd like to now introduce one of our great supporter of the FOSWL program, Sri Shubharao ji is with us. He's a businessman specializing in setting up US companies in India, very busy doing that. Additionally, he and his family are very involved in real estate property kind of development in Hyderabad. He's also a life member of the Hyderabad Public School Society, an active Rotarian and past president of the Rotary International, which as you know, is a very noble cause and organization that helps people all over the world. Sri Subba Rao is an electronics and communications engineering graduate of Bangalore University. And let us all now welcome Sri Subba Rao ji. Thank you.
I think Mrs. Uma has to go first, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have I missed the agenda here?
It's okay.
That's right. Umaji, please take over.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. A very good morning to all my friends in USA and a very good evening to those joining from India. Session Chairperson, Shri Raj Desai ji, members of FOSWL, special invitees to this event, our distinguished speaker of the day, Brahmachari Soham Chaitanya ji, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great privilege and pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you joining us today for the 250th FOSWL Meet celebrations. Today's meet marks yet another important milestone in the history of FOSWL. It's not uncommon for temporary visitors to USA to stroll into nearby parks in search of fellow Indians. FOSWL's earliest journey began in one such park 21 years ago, where 4 strangers met for casual chats on a daily basis. Their conversations mostly centered around sharing and exchanging their professional experiences. Within a few months into these informal meetings, an idea emerged and transformed into a concrete proposal. It was decided to start a forum of such like-minded people whose thoughts were on the same wavelength. Due to the unpredictable weather conditions, they shifted to a nearby Indian restaurant in Sunnyvale. After sustained deliberations amongst these friends, a forum aptly titled Friends of Same Wavelength, FOSWL, was mooted in November 1999. These were the first few who attended the crucial meet to finalize the formation of this forum. Today, we are extremely fortunate to have amidst us Sri K.V. Krishnamurthy ji participating in this meeting, who was present in that first meeting. I'm extremely happy to extend a very hearty welcome to you. Word spread around, more and more retired officials who held top positions both in the government and private sector in India joined the group. With the numbers swelling, it became impossible to continue the meetings in the restaurant. After a short stint with the Indo-American Community Service Center at Santa Clara, this group merged with ICC, headquartered at Milpitas, and started functioning as ICC CUPERTINO. FOSWL found its unique place amid several other programs conducted at this center. The first executive committee was formed in May 2000 with the following members. President Shri Suresh Shah, former Judge, Ahmedabad High Court. Within a short time after taking over, Shri Shah had to leave Bay Area, and Dr. Jagdish Rasagi, former professor of statistics, Ohio State University, took over as president. Vice president was Dr. Akkush Srinivasan, professor and former head of the Department of Chemistry, Loyola College, Chennai. Secretary was none other than the backbone of FOSWL, Shri M.L. Swamy, former engineer-in-chief, Government of Andhra Pradesh, and consultant, World Bank and USAID. There were 2 joint secretaries, Shri A. Narayan Swamy, former Deputy General Manager, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, and Shri C. Bharat Desai, former Assistant Regional Manager, Syndicate Bank, Ahmedabad. Shri Desai is currently in Ahmedabad. I had the good fortune of being in communication with him for this meet. Professor Rasagi served as president for many years until his health condition no more permitted him to do so. The next president was Dr. Vishin Jotwani, former staff surgeon at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, and retired Deputy Director General, Central Government Health Service, CGHS, as we all know. This executive committee was strongly supported by a think tank group led by Sri C.G. Desai, former member, Planning Commission, Government of India. Sri Desaiji's team comprised of Professor Srinivas Iyer, Sri L.A. Venkatesa, Sri P.A. Kulkarni, Sri K.J. Divatiya, Sri Vipin Shah, Sri V.A. Arathe, Sri Himmat Mehta, Sri Fondekar, Justice Sri Santanam, and Sri H.N. Verma, former lawyer, Supreme Court of India. I am very happy to inform that presently Vermaji is in Delhi. Ideas and visions alone cannot sustain an organization. Availability of funds becomes essential. Initially, the members themselves contributed to sustain the show, but that was not adequate. It was here that late Sri M.L. Swami stepped in and took complete charge. He contributed generously to keep the forum running, besides taking overall charge of its smooth functioning. So much so that he and FOSWL became synonymous with each other. The few initial meetings were confined to speakers amongst the founder members themselves. It was felt that guest speakers from outside the forum should be invited and members can remain as standby so that FOSWL meetings go on without a break. Normally, many parents would visit Bay Area to spend a few months with their children. Swami Garu had a wide network of friends whose help he sought to identify such speakers so that it coincides with their stay in USA. I remember he used to keep a sheet of paper for each year. Against the months, he would mark the speakers' names and the title of their talk. Except for one or two vacant slots, the entire page would be full right in the beginning of the year. Once FOSWL CUPERTINO found its firm footing, Sri M.L. Swami Garu was eager to expand the activities of the forum beyond Bay Area. His modus operandi was to coax the temporary visitors to form FOSWL chapters in their respective towns and cities. FOSWL Hyderabad was the first chapter in India, followed by two FOSWL chapters in Chennai, one at Anna Nagar and the other at Adyar. It's my great pleasure that Hyderabad and Chennai Anna Nagar chapter members, Sri Subbarao Tirupureni and Dr. V.S. Sharma have joined us today to share their FOSWL experiences and journey. Dr. T.H. Iyer, President Chennai Adyar chapter, has also joined us today. A very warm welcome to all of you. The chapters that were later formed were at LA in California and in India at Vijayawada, Pune, Mumbai, and Bangalore. I recall there were talks then of starting chapters in Delhi and Dubai too. There was another challenge that the team had to face in the initial days. There were practically no women members who attended FOSWL meetings. It is to the credit of Swami Garu that he hit upon the idea of bringing in his wife, Rangamani Garu, to all the meetings. After this, more women started attending the meetings. We are going to hear more about this from two veteran FOSWL members, Srimati Prema Santanam and Srimati Sunila Fondekar, in the second session of this program. Even then, with all such efforts, there was no significant increase in the number of participants, a decent enough number for the time and effort a speaker takes to present his topic. So Swami Garu's next masterstroke was to offer lunch to all those who would attend FOSWL. It reminded me of the noon meal scheme for children back in India. Rangamani Garu and a few ladies would serve lunch to the participants. This scheme became an instant hit and FOSWL did not look back. Depending on the speaker and the topic, the number of attendees soared to cross the 100 mark. FOSWL went on to commemorate completion of its 100th, 150th, and 200th meet in a very grand manner. And today we are celebrating the 250th. Here I'm sharing two photos from the 100th meet celebrations. In this first photo, we have Mr. Jose Eschives, Mayor City of Milpitas, who was chief guest at this meet. Here he is seen handing over a certificate of commendation to FOSWL, which is being received by President Professor Jagdish Rastagi. The other executive committee members seen are Sri M.L. Swami, Vice President Professor Akku Srinivasan, and Joint Secretary Sri Narayan Swami. This is another picture taken on the same occasion. Seen here are late Justice Santanam on the extreme right. Seen also is Srimati Gopi Godwani ji, who I hope has joined us today for this meet. She was a very close confidant of Swami Garu in all matters related to FOSWL. A very warm welcome to you, madam. Slowly, the founding members faded away in a phased manner and a new team started to function. Dr. M.K. Rao, former Government of India representative for Internet at the United Nations, is present amongst us today. He is our new think tank leader, similar to the role played by Sri C.G. Desai in the formative years. In this file photo, he is seen with our then president, Dr. Jyothwani. FOSWL is on a firm footing marching forward thanks to the total dedication and commitment of FOSWLians led by Sri Raj Desai, Sri Dinesh Bajaj, Sri T.P. Subramaniam, Dr. Shakuntala Bahadur, Srimati Kalyani Subramaniam, Srimati Shaila Gadakar, Srimati Ratna Rao, Sri Sanjeev Kulkarni, Srimati Nisha Harplani, and of course a contribution by late Dr. Krishna Gutala, to name just a few. I wish I could mention more names. Every member of this forum has kept the FOSWL flag flying high. Saying thank you will be saying too little. I was a lateral entrant midway 10 years after the forum's formation. It was my good fortune to have got an opportunity to work closely with Swami Garu in preparing or editing papers for the meet and help him in conducting the meetings. No event can reach its pinnacle of success without the active support of several volunteers. A big thank you to each one of them and a warm welcome to this important event. When an individual gets involved in an activity of this nature, their family is not far behind. Today, we have with us Swami Garu's son-in-law, Sri Rao Pokala, and Swami Garu's grandson, Sri Vikas Pokala. A very warm welcome to both of you, and we look forward to hearing more from you on FOSWL's journey on the home front. A special word of appreciation and thanks to Swami Garu's daughter, Srimati Sucharita. We have amongst us today as special invitees all distinguished speakers of FOSWL for the year 2019-2020. Words are not sufficient enough to express our sincere thanks for delivering those interesting and informative talks at our monthly meetings. Thank you so much for joining us today. A very warm welcome to each and every one of you. ICC has grown exponentially within a short span. We have with us members of ICC from Milpitas, Tri-Valley, and Palo Alto, who graciously rescheduled their center's programs to join us in this celebration. Thanks to each and every one of you present here today, and a very warm welcome to you. Chinmaya Mission San Jose has always been an integral part of FOSWL right from the beginning. Today, we are extremely happy that Pujya Brahmachari Soham Chaitanya Ji, resident teacher, Chinmaya Mission San Jose, has graciously agreed to be the guest speaker for the 250th FOSWL meet. A warm welcome to Chaitanya Ji and all members of Chinmaya Mission who have joined us in today's meet. It's been nostalgic tracing the history of FOSWL over these 2 decades. Every organization owes its success to the dedication and passion of the people involved. Before concluding, I would like to share with you all an incident that's still fresh in my memory and which sums up FOSWL's success story. Swami Garu was at Hyderabad. We had just then received the sad news that Srimati Rangamani Garu had passed away after a brief illness. I called up Swami Garu to convey my condolences and inquire about the happenings that led to this sad end. The funeral was yet to take place. Even as I moved forward with more grief-filled words, Swami Garu immediately switched over and drew my attention to the next FOSWL meeting that was due 2 days later. He had sent all the relevant papers much earlier. Now on the phone, he was instructing me to correct the third line in the welcome address, adding, don't forget to incorporate so-and-so's name, the vote of thanks. I'd forgotten that, and so on. He was meticulous to the core and would not budge an inch from absolute perfection. Such were the kind of seniors who led this forum from scratch to bring it to its present glory. Let me come back to ground state and once again extend a very warm, hearty welcome to each and every one of you who have joined us today in this milestone celebrations. I now hand over to Chairperson for moving forward with the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Umaji. You are one of our unsung heroes. One of the points you mentioned about our friend, late M.L. Swami, was about just being so particular about every aspect of our FOSWL session. And here we are on our 250th session. I kind of missed a step. So apologies for that. I think all of you members know Umaji is really, really the pillar of keeping this FOSWL program going. She is very particular about the agenda, about the speakers, reaching out to them ahead of time, making sure all of any presentations that are appropriate have been received, and everything is scheduled. Despite 2 briefing sessions that Umaji had with me, I still kind of missed a step. So Umaji, really appreciate your support, and please continue the good work you're doing. And despite not being able to see you here in Silicon Valley due to COVID, you are still very supportive of our program at ICC. We miss you, and we hope that very soon you'll be able to be among us as and when it's safe to kind of do so.
Thank you.
So with that, I'd like to just apologize also to Shri Shubharao ji to have missed a step and made the introduction prior to Umaji's welcome. So Shubharao ji, please welcome and thank you for allowing me to make an earlier introduction of you. Sir, you're on mute.
Garaji, please.
Thank you for introducing me ahead of time. I think by missing a step, you made all the seniors very happy that, it's not just the elders who miss a step. So that was a good start, your tribute. I'd like to first thank the organizers for not only giving us an opportunity, especially Mrs. Uma Seshadri Garu, but also scheduling us earlier on so that we don't have to stay back very late in the night. That is the reason actually my father, Mr. Venkateswarrao Tipirneni, who is the president, he ought to be here speaking to you, but he is unable to. He is 92 years old. So he asked me to convey his apologies for not being present, but I do have a message from him which I will try and play. President of FOSWL CUPERTINO, Srimati Uma Seshadri Garu, Chairman Sri Raj Desai, CEO of the India Community Center, CUPERTINO, President of FOSWL Annanagar, Sri Sharma Garu, the distinguished speaker for today's special session, Pujya Brahmachari Soham Chaitanya Ji, family members of Sri M.L. Swami, distinguished elders of FOSWL CUPERTINO, and I'm told from nearby centers. Good morning to all of you. I bring you greetings and good wishes from the President, Sri Venkateswarrao Tipirneni, and members of FOSWL India, Hyderabad. Hearty congratulations on this happy occasion of your 250th monthly meeting without a break, Mr. M.L. Swami always insisted that we should add these 3 words, without a break. We are delighted to partake in the celebrations to mark this very important milestone in the FOSWL journey, of which we just heard a very nostalgic account from your current president. Before I say something, let me now play the message of our president of FOSWL India, Hyderabad. I hope the host has enabled sharing for me. If you can kindly do that.
It should be enabled. Everybody's enabled for sharing.
I see. Okay. Just give me a minute to bring it up, please. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
You may turn up your volume, please. Are you able to hear?
No. I think you have to turn the volume up from your side.
Okay, just give me.
No, he may be muted. And volume doesn't matter. It's he probably has muted.
No, if he's able to talk, he's not muted. So,
The recorded message.
video, yeah, those. Barely audible. It's not coming out.
Are you not able to hear?
No, the volume is not coming up. Just a little.
Just give me a minute. Let me increase the volume here.
Yeah.
Also don't see the picture.
Yeah, now we are not seeing the screen either.
No, I stopped sharing, but I will share it now.
The voice is very scratchy.
No, the talk is not coming out properly. Yeah.
Subbaraoji, is that your dad?
Yes, that is my dad.
What, you said 93 years old?
Yes,
He looks so
92.
young. He looks so young with all the hair there. I don't have that hair at age of 60 that he does at 93. That's awesome. We couldn't hear him, but we could see what he was saying.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think it was not very clear.
Yeah, the voice was.
Well, just to continue, I think for me, this gathering this morning in Cupertino seems almost surreal, for several reasons. Firstly, but for this corona pandemic, as the chairman of this session said, such a meeting probably would not have been even conceived or thought of. Secondly, it is a dream come true for the vision of Sri M. S. Swami, that one day FOSWL will grow to many parts of the world, something to rejoice about. The theme of this first session is listed as the journey of FOSWL chapters. It is therefore, I think, apt that I share with you a few aspects of the journey of FOSWL India Hyderabad. As many of you probably already know, and as Mrs. Uma Seshadrigaru said, FOSWL Hyderabad is the first international chapter of FOSWL, and I believe the second FOSWL chapter after Cupertino. Am I right, Mrs. Uma?
She's shaking her head. Yes, I think.
Yes, right, you're right.
Well, Hyderabad was started in January 2009, and we meet every third Saturday at 5:30 p.m. at a Chamber of Commerce building in the heart of Hyderabad. Some of our members are attending today's meeting, like Mrs. Nagamani. Now, of course, since March, as you all do, we meet virtually on Zoom. And we recently had our 142nd monthly meeting. And as irony would have it, our distinguished speaker was from Atlanta, former vice president of Coca-Cola, a classmate of mine from school. And we will be completing 12 years with our December meeting. And like you, we have not missed a single meeting so far. What we have also done is each of our monthly meetings is an endowment meeting. So a family sets up an endowment in memory of their loved ones, and that meeting is dedicated to pay homage to that person or couple. And we have an endowment for all our 12 monthly meetings. And just like what I heard about the journey of FOSWL Cupertino, when FOSWL Hyderabad was started in 2009, to be honest, the path was not very clear or well defined. What was very clear though was the intense passion of Sri Swami and my father, Mr. Venkateswara, that they should have a chapter of FOSWL in India too. They foresaw that the changing social norms and family situations will make FOSWL very relevant because seniors will remain alone in their houses while their children, their offspring are off into different parts of the world. One thing that helped us stabilize in this initial months was the frequent visits of Mr. Swami. He used to come every so often. And it was almost electrifying when he was here. He used to come to Hyderabad, of course, which is his hometown, or at least where he stays. He used to make sure he called every single member personally. And at the meeting, he would circulate and make sure he had a word or two for everyone attending. And if the member did not bring his spouse, he was bound to ask, how come you come alone? So that's how we built up the attendance. And in about a few years, I think 2 or 3 years, we've had attendance of 120, 130. When we celebrated our 10th year, completion of 10th year, we invited the then governor of the state of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, Sri E.L. Narasimhan, and we had nearly 150 people. And I'm sure just like you again, we've had a variety and huge diversity of topics and eminent speakers. And slowly, FOSWL became the place to go to hear inspiring and educative talks. The word spread, by word of mouth. And we had several distinguished speakers from various parts of US, other states in India, and more recently during the virtual meetings from Singapore, Cambodia, etc. Now the topics, again, as somebody remarked, a very broad spectrum. They range from anthropology to astronomy, from heart transplant to heartfulness, from economy to education, from geriatric care to Google Maps, from palliative care to pandemics, and from D-Day logistics to demonetization. Probably we have covered, a very, very wide range of topics from such diverse disciplines as science, geography, cinema, history, psychology, spirituality, storytelling, gemology, politics, technology, environment, humor, policing, cybercrimes, farming, judicial reforms, tips on how to make a proper will, railways, aquaculture. Is marriage an institution which is still relevant today? Mathematics, languages, many more. So that is what makes our members stay enthused and engaged. They hear eminent speakers on a variety of subjects. We typically have about 40 or 50, but then as I said, it is not unusual in some meetings to have over 100. One other activity that FOSWL Hyderabad has embraced is charity. A few years ago, our members contributed generously to provide free, sumptuous, hot vegetarian lunch for a whole month to the attendants of poor cancer patients admitted in the Indo-American Cancer Hospital in Hyderabad. We partnered with Hare Krishna movement, who provided this hot lunch every day of the month through their flagship program called Akshay Patra. Under this program, they supply hot lunch, midday meal scheme, like Mrs. Uma said in her talk, to a few hundreds of thousands of school children in about 8 or 9 states in India. And more recently, after the corona pandemic started, again our members came together and contributed generously to provide dry rations to migrant labor and to the lowest cadres of the police commissionerate in our periphery. It's called the Rachakonda Police Commissionerate. Typically, we have done such charity activities by partnering with a Masonic lodge. I'm an active Mason, and I have access to that. They take care of all the logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, I think there was a lot of nostalgia on how the organization was founded and built. And today they're assembled upon this event to applaud and rejoice the happy occasion of your reaching the important milestone of 250th monthly meeting. And to remember all those of you who made this possible. We saw some pictures. And to pay a tribute of respect and gratitude to Sri M.L. Swami and others who laid the foundation of FOSWL 2 decades ago. I'd like to borrow some thoughts from Freemasonry, of which I'm an active member, as I said. Our families in the past benefited from the presence of elders in what was a joint family, which sadly is not so today. Our culture, as do many other cultures, have always taught us a proper reverence and veneration for age. And this is particularly so when years of age stand united with years of service, and the elder is a repository of knowledge and wisdom. Age has always been the crowning glory of man, as we say. It affords an opportunity to reflect upon the past, and it is from the experiences of the past that the present receives its wisdom. And it is upon the wisdom that society should ideally build each and every laudable enterprise that benefits humanity. FOSWL, to my mind, has provided such an enabling institutionalized forum to carry this philosophy into practice by actively engaging elders in their golden years and to celebrate their age, their experience, and their wisdom. It is said that there are 3 principal stages, 3 steps which are symbolic of the 3 principal stages of human life, namely youth, manhood, and age. In youth, we are industriously occupied occupy our minds in the attainment of useful knowledge. In manhood, we may apply that knowledge to the discharge of our respective duties to God, our community, and ourselves. But it is only in age that we may enjoy the happy reflections consequent upon a life well spent. FOSWL is such a forum that enables its members to enjoy such happy reflections in the company of their peers. I'm sure that each one of the founders and members of FOSWL Cupertino, for each of you, it is therefore a source of great pride and privilege and a pleasure that FOSWL is this day celebrating 2 decades, more than 2 decades of meaningful and purposeful activities serving the seniors. The Almighty has been kind and has bounteously granted all of us the years of life, which has enabled all of us to be present today and participate, contribute to and enjoy the camaraderie, warmth and affection and the solidarity of FOSWLians. On behalf of the President and members of FOSWL Hyderabad, I bring to FOSWL Cupertino every good wish for it to continue its good work and reach many more such significant milestones. And on such an occasion, as momentous as this, if FOSWL Cupertino is redefining its area of focus for the next 2 decades, may I make a humble suggestion? It would be nice if we could include in your strategy an element and effort to further enhance and improve communication, collaboration, cooperation, synergy, and mutual support to all the chapters of FOSWL, for we are all but one family. And you may also think of establishing more chapters of FOSWL in other parts of India, and probably in a few other countries as well in the coming decade. And examine the idea if it would be meaningful to hold a virtual meeting of all FOSWL chapters once a year to strengthen our fraternal bonds. These are just thoughts for your consideration. Again, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this happy event. May God grant each one of you good health and happiness at all times. Namaste.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful speech. Beautiful.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Subbarao-ji. Really wonderful talk, and so gratifying to see the efforts you and your dad and all the committee members are making to promote and support FOSWL. We've certainly heard of a few new initiatives, including these charitable activities that you and your group are involved in. I think those are thoughts that we can certainly consider. And second is, of course, the communication and collaboration. As I think we all know, there are basically many of us visit back and forth India regularly. And I think some interchange and exchange of speakers to engage at some of these chapters globally would, I think, certainly be part of that collaboration. So I think with that, clearly we would need to establish a secretariat that can help us in that process, because we are all working out of shoestring kind of budgets. But I think with the goodwill and the support of volunteers like Dinesh and Umaji and others, we are doing as much as is possible. But certainly there's room to expand. There's room to do better and more. So with that, certainly, Subbarao-ji, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence, with your thoughts, and with your suggestions. We will certainly take those forward. Thank you so much. With that, I would like to now introduce our next guest speaker. It's Dr. V.S. Sarma. He's the Chief Medical Officer of Chennai Corporation, served for 30 years in that role in Chennai. Founder and President of FOSWL Chennai, Anandagar chapter. Founder and President of Andhra Kalaswati Social Cultural Organization. Founder and ex-President of Alumni Association of Kasturba Medical College, Chennai. I hopefully do justice to all of his achievements here. Founder and present office bearer of the Sterling Resort Timeshare Ownership Association, and a member of the various cultural and social organizations. Dr. V.S. Sarma, amazing credentials and a lifelong kind of history, and we welcome you at this 250th FOSWL session. Over to you. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hello?
Yes.
Can
yes,
you hear
we can.
me?
Anji, we can.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Thank you,
We can
sir.
hear
I am, dear Phospholians, I am addressing even the global Phospholians who have been curiously seeing these particular procedures online. I am Dr. Sharma V.S., President, FOSWL Chennai Annanagar chapter. I am very, very happy to participate in this happy completion of 250th meetings of FOSWL of CUPERTINO chapter. On behalf of my chapter, I congratulate the office bearers of this organization for making this a reality. We are all missing the presence of our great founder, my guru and mentor, late Sri M.L. Swami Garu, who had worked so hard to establish this chapter at this level and struggled for the development of this till the last date. I am sure he must be observing us from heaven and feeling very happy for this achievement. I had the pleasure of attending the 150th meeting of our FOSWL celebration, wherein late M.L. Swami Garu conducted the meeting in a very, very exemplary manner, attending each and every item of program. We, in a very humble way, with the blessings and best wishes of our late M.L. Swami Garu, started our chapter Annanagar and now completed 10 years, 5 months, and conducted so far 120 meetings without a break, except for this COVID epidemic, and restarted on Zoom online, and we are going very fine. Our attendance also goes to 80 to 90 members. When was conducted in the conference. Now we have been doing it online Zoom. And we do invite very, very qualified and dynamic speakers to address our members, and they have been of very great help to our senior citizens. We also conduct endowment lectures. We have got only 2 endowment lectures, one in memory of our late M.L. Swami Garu in the month of March, and another in memory of Mrs. Rangamani Swami Garu in the month of September. I am very glad to note and thank the office bearers of Cupertino chapter for bringing this FOSWL to this level, and I wish them all the best to keep the FOSWL flag flying high and high, and I wish them all the best for improve their vigor and strength to building up this FOSWL. As suggested by our Hyderabad president, I also wish this FOSWL should spread different parts of India so that all will come to know about it. And once again, I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to brief about our Chennai Annanagar chapter. I would like to project few of my slides already there. This is one of our meeting photographs taken. Dr. Hema Karthik, consultant psychiatrist, psychologist, she has addressed us. The topic she has given was how to live happily and safely. Being senior citizens, she stressed how safe you can live with sort of help. And we have so far conducted about 120 meetings without break, except for this COVID pandemic. And I want you to project our office bearers photo if you have got. Any more photos, sir, to project? Anyway, this is also one of the meeting, continuation of the meeting, Hema Karthik, and he is the treasurer of our wing, Mr. Narayanan. And next to him is my wife. As you said, spouse, she always attends our meetings regularly, and myself. Next, please. Anything else? And I have also, these are also the members who have attended that particular meeting. Yes, next. These are the present office bearers. The top one is myself, Sharma, myself, president and founder. And second is my cousin, Dr. Professor R.V.S.N. Sharma, is a highly qualified medical personnel, MD, MSc, double FRCP, and so many American fellowships. He is a consultant in Manipal Hospital, Whitefield, Bangalore. And lower is Mr. K.R. Narayanan. He is the treasurer of our, is the secretary of our FOSWL chapter. He is a chartered accountant. In addition to that, we have got Mr. Anand Kumar as joint secretary and Mr. Ramachandran as our treasurer. Both of them are also chartered accountants. Finally, I have also brought this, put a tabular column showing the number of meetings conducted with specific name of the person and the topic covered. This particular thing, Professor, our M.L. Swami Garu very particularly insisting that should be circulated to all the members. I used to follow that meticulously and see that things are circulated to all our members. And we are also doing our best to improve our chapter. I need the best wishes and blessings of all of you. Thank you once again for this great opportunity and wishing all the best for our CUPERTINO chapter. Thank you, sir.